Okay. All right. So, Otto Neal, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you at the Bric Arts Studio on my show, Artistic Talent, and doing a interview with you. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. First of all, as the viewer know, my name is Melvin Isaac, and I'm the producer of the Artistic Talent Show. And here we have Otto Neal, and I'm going to be asking him some questions. He's the pioneer of, to me, a great artist. And I'm his student at the Dorsey Art Gallery in Brooklyn on Roger Avenue. And I will actually start off with him first. I'm going to have other people come after him. But he would be the first one. We call this, you want to give respect to the ones that was way before you. So, okay, so let me ask you a few questions. Otto, what three words friends and family would use to describe you?
Well, I feel I'm quiet. I have a little talent. And I'm not too sure about the other.
Well, tell me, how would you describe yourself?
Well, again, I think I'm fairly quiet, and I think I have a little talent. And I feel I'm kind. Let's put it that way.
Well, you are, as far as I have seen. Okay, so now, when did you start drawing?
Well, I started, as I recall, from the age of about 4. And this is pretty interesting because at that time, from that time on, I believe that I was drawing because of the influence of a cousin of mine, David, who used to care for me when my parents were working. David was 8 years older than I, and I can recall watching him as he was working. But as I was to later find out that David did not draw at all. And this came about when I presented him with a book in which this was related to Elton Fax and other writers. Elton Fax wrote a book called Black Artists of the New Generation. And I had presented David with this book, and I pointed out this part in the book about him being the influence in my life regarding art. When he read it, and he says, I never drew. So I thought that was pretty mysterious. So this thing about art in my life is sort of a mystery. How I came to begin art is still mysterious to me, because the person I can still picture watching did not draw at all. So this must have been a dream or some other mystical event in my life.
Okay, how many mediums do you work in?
Well, I work in just about all of them. I work in wood, stone, bronze, oils, watercolors, pastels, collages, and printmaking. And a friend of mine, Grant Spears, says the only thing I didn't do was stained glass, and that's something that he worked in. But I'm comfortable working in just about all of the mediums.
Very talented person. Very talented. Did you attend any art schools?
Well, I attended the Brooklyn Museum Art School briefly, studying with Isaac Sawyer, but that was only for about 2 or 3 months. And then the printmaking workshop, Bob Blackburn's printmaking workshop, where I studied etching and lithography. Other than that, I'm self-taught in all the other mediums of art.
Okay. Do you belong to any art organization?
Well, yes, I guess the first organization I came into contact with was the Fulton Art Fair, and there I met artists such as Ernie Critchlow, Jacob Lawrence, Vivian Schuyler Key, Tom Feelings, Al Hollingsworth, Richard Mayhew, and a few others. And then after the Fulton Art Fair, I met one attendees at the Fulton Art Fair who introduced me to a group of artists that was called the 20th Century Creators, which was to later become the Wavesy Artists, a group that I'm still connected with. And then another group I joined because I heard Huey Lee Smith was a part of it, and that was the Federation of Modern Painters and Sculptors. That was another organization I joined and belonged to, and still do.
Have you had any commissions?
A few. I was commissioned to do a mural for Kings County Hospital. I did 10 bronze plaques for the Harlem Walk of Fame, which can be found along 135th Street between 7th and 8th Avenues. And I did a commission. The Ezra Jack Keats Foundation chose me to do a sculpture of a character based on the works of Ezra Jack Keats, Peter and Willie. So I created a bronze sculpture which is located in Imagination Playground in Brooklyn's Prospect Park, and that's there today. And I might mention that work, Peter and Willie, was granted an award for excellence in design by the New York City Arts Commission. And then in 2016, it was declared a literary landmark. So I'm very happy about that. Yes.
So tell me, what about work in private and public collection?
Well, I have a couple of pieces of art in Ghana, West Africa. 2 pieces of mine, 2 different museums in Ghana. The Columbia Museum in South Carolina has collected my work. I'm trying to think of the name. Oh, well, Harry Belafonte has some of my work, and Winfrey. What's the name?
Oprah.
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah.
Yes, she bought one of my bronze pieces. Yes. So, and then I think Harold Belafonte, I think David Dinkins, and so on. And I might mention that the Woody King's New Federal Theater had asked me to design an award for the theater, which was presented to a number of actors and actresses and other people. Among those, Ruby Dee, Sidney Poitier, Alicia Keys, and a number of other people. They received this award that I designed.
Very, very famous, talented person. We already know that anyway. It's a very distinguished, great, But tell me something about Dorsey Art Gallery. How important is Dorsey Gallery to you?
Well, it's very, very important. I met Dorsey probably close to 40 years ago, he approached me and at the Fulton Art Fair,
Yes.
and he saw my work, and he asked me to exhibit some of my work in his space. And I kept promising, and I didn't show. And then the next year he came out to the fair and he said, "Hey, come on, fella, why don't you bring some of your work by, you know?" And I finally did, and I'm very, very happy because it was through Dorsey's I got a chance to meet a lot of wonderful artists, Elizabeth Catlett, yeah, Joseph Delaney, and so many, many other artists. And Dorsey's was able to get my work out there. I was exposed to many, many people who collected my work through Dorsey's, and I'm very, very happy. And I'm connected with Dorsey's gallery even to this day, even though he passed about 10 years ago now.
Okay, what do you consider to be the most important in your life or art?
Well, I would think one of the most important things was getting the commission to do the Pete and Willie bronze sculpture for Prospect Park. But again, another thing, Earl Graves of Black Enterprise magazine had chosen me to sculpt the numerals 100 in stone for a special issue of Black Enterprise magazine, which I did. And I might mention that after I carved the pieces in stone, the work in stone, and presented it to Earl Graves, I got a call from his office probably about a week or so later, and they wanted me to come in and pose with my work. And when I got to his office, they wanted me to bring my tools that I work with, and bits of stone, marble, and marble dust and so on. Bring that with me so as they can photograph it. And when I got to his office, I found out he'd instructed his secretary to show me to his manicurist to have my nails manicured for the taking of the picture of my work on the cover. Naturally, I refused because if anything, my hands should be filthy and dirty, nails should be broken and so on, not polished and so on. So my hand is on the cover of Black Enterprise magazine with my tools, with unpolished nails and so on. You know, I thought it was really sort of funny.
Okay, I just got one or two more questions for you. How do color and music relate when painting to you?
Well, I feel I have to have music in the background. And I especially like Ethiopian music because I find it to be very, very penetrating. It touches me deep down, and I think in having this music in the background helps me to do the best that I can.
Okay, what challenges you have or struggles in becoming an artist? What was your challenge, or what challenge you still undergoing?
Well, since I'm more involved in the production of the art, in creating, I'm not too concerned about the challenge. I'm just maybe the overcoming learning a different technique, perhaps. Maybe that's the challenge, you know. But as far as getting my work out there and exposing it, I don't have those pressures because I'm more concerned with the creating of the work rather than getting the work to people to buy my work.
So this is the basic last question, two-part, is what inspired you to wake up every morning, and what is your purpose in life?
Well, to create. And every morning I get up, I head down to my studio, and I start doing something, you know. And Sometimes, I'm chipping on some wood. Sometimes I'm doing some watercolors. Another time I'm doing acrylics. Or another time in the act of printmaking, such as these days now I'm doing a lot of linoleum cuts and wood cuts. But every day I have to do something that is creative.
Yeah. And I know that was supposed to be the last question, but I always got something here hitting in my head to ask you. It's just that, do you love what you're doing? You like
I love what I do. Oh yes, without a doubt. Yes. And I have to mention this. One of the most important things, well, a couple of things that happened in my life was the being chosen to do a one-man show at the Columbia Museum in South Carolina. I was contacted by the director of the library at the University of South Carolina, and he asked me would I be interested in a show in the museum there, and I couldn't believe it. And this was a big museum, and they wanted me to have a one-man show there, in which I did, and all expenses paid. I spent 17 days down in South Carolina, in Columbia, with the show. Listened every day. They mentioned the show on the radio, and I was on radio a couple of times, and it was really an enjoyable experience. And then being chosen for the sculpture at Prospect Park was another wonderful event in my life, art-wise. And then I was contacted by Dr. Myra Brown Green, and she had asked me to take part in a show that she was planning to curate. And this was a 6-gallery retrospective of my work. And I was overwhelmed because I was able to show each and every type of work that I work in at these galleries. Like Tabula Rasa Gallery was paintings, watercolors, oils, pastels, and acrylics. Skylight Gallery was sculpture, wood, stone, and bronze. Dorsey's Gallery was drawings. Rush Arts Gallery was collages. And McEvis College was prints. And the Wilma Jennings Gallery featured all of the mediums that I was working with. There was wood, stone, bronze, oils, watercolors, pastels, collages, prints, everything that I did. And I was very, very happy. And that was, those were some of the most memorable events in my life of art.
So what message would you like to leave the viewers or the young people or the generation that's out there now who strive to be artists?
Well, I would say take an interest in it. The younger people take an interest in art. Parents, guide your children towards art, because art, I think, is an elevating force, and it's a peaceful force. And with a paintbrush in your hand, it's peace. And I think that's something that we should work for, striving for peace. And I think art lends itself to that, a peaceful world.
Well, I want to thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. It was an honor and a pleasure to do Grace's interview with actually you, my teacher, and I'm your student. But it's a pleasure, and I really hope we can continue on with an interview like this. And so y'all heard it. This is the master of the art for, generations. Dorsey Art Gallery, all over. You heard it from him. He's the teacher. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mel, for inviting me.
You're welcome.
ስንቱን ማጣት ችዬ እዝናዬ ሲነገር ከእንክርዳድም ብሶ እናሰከረኝ ነገር ታቀመው ይሉኛል እንግዲህ ምን ሆነ እንደተወጋሁም እየቃ ሆቴሌ እየቃ ሆቴሌ የሚያስኮንን ቢሆን ለነፍሱስ የሚያድረው የሚያርፈው ማን ይሆን? የሚያርፍ ማን ይሆን? የሚያርፈው ማን ይሆን? የሚያርፈው ማን ይሆን? ዱሮም አተበልቶ ከፊል ተርቀጠላም ከጠጁም ተቀርቶ ከብርዙም ተቀርቶ ይጠጣ ነበረ ዛሬ ስመበተኛ ነገር እኮ ቀረ ነገር እኮ ቀረ ነገር እኮ ቀረ ሰረገላም ባይሮም
Okay, how you doing? This is the Artistic Talent Show. My name is Melvin Isaac, and we are at the Bric Arts Media, downtown Fulton Street in Brooklyn, New York, right off the Rockwell. So what I'm doing now, I just created a platform, a way where artists can share their stories on my show through their art. So let me bring you back first what happened. There's a new program that all the producers had to get educated on, which is, they call it the TriCaster. And within that TriCaster, it has a lot of stuff in there. I mean, it got virtual effects, it got the mix effects, it has everything built in of that TriCaster. And it's from New Tech. And so now all the producers are learning this new way of editing, new way of broadcasting, and it's strictly, to me, it's awesome. I have a green screen behind me, and I can put all kinds of effect on it. As you see, I'm running the Black Panther. Eventually, I'm gonna run my all my artwork. So it's fantastic. I mean, it's something that is imaginable that I would never thought that could happen. Anyway, so I created this platform, and from this point on, I'm going to have a lot of artists come up on my show, and they will be discussing about their artwork and their story through their art, because as you know, art is very powerful. We have a very powerful tool in front of us that through the grace of God that gave this to us through birth. So we have something to talk about, we have something to say, we can change people's mind. I mean, it's powerful through the art. Just the simple stuff that we can do is amazing. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to have different artists come on the show, and they're going to be talking about their art and the galleries that they belong to, the exhibits that they had, and what they're doing now and their history. So I want to share some of my history about how I started art, what made me become an artist. So first of all, it's actually mine is through the grace of God. I was born with this talent. I never really knew I had this type of power at that time, but as I got older, I realized that I had something that was very worthy. So I started drawing little stuff. You know, I draw my family, I draw different things in the community, and then it started branching out. So I went to college. And once I was in college, it's something that I had noticed people had was drawing class that I sort of like drove myself to. So I went to a drawing class in college and I started learning all the different techniques, and the next thing I know, I was teaching the class. So the teacher realized that I had this type of power, had this type of knowledge or gift, and he had me, you know, became the teacher after a while. So from that point on, when I graduated, I started doing a lot of exhibits. I was selling my art. I was doing shows, and I realized that I have to make it more where people can see what I'm doing. So my nephew, he got me in this situation with Bric Arts Media. Well, before it was called BCAP, Brooklyn Community Access Television. So he said, you know, Uncle Melvin, you should go down there because they have cameras, they can teach you, you know, how to broadcast what you're doing. And so I thought about that. I said, you're right. So I went down here and learned all the knowledge that they was giving me. And the next thing I knew, I was producing my own show of artistic talent. So that's one of my that I was doing. So the next thing I knew that I had